Yep, take it away.
All right, Joe, we're ready to start. Over to you. And you're on mute, Joe.
Look at that. So, you know how many years are we doing the Zoom now? Well, this just shows you.
Year and a half.
Yeah, I hope we're almost done and we'll be doing this in person. But anyway, great to see everybody. Good evening. I'm Joe Volman. It's my honor to serve as the president of JFS of Metrowest Board of Directors and to welcome you to our 43rd annual meeting. It's been a very difficult year for so many of the people that we serve, but I could not be more proud of this organization for rising to the task. I always like to say that JFS punches above our weight class. And did we ever do that over the course of the past year? I cannot be prouder of the staff, the volunteers, and the board of this extraordinary organization. I want to thank all of you for your support for JFS. I want to say a special thank you to the executive team at JFS and to our CEO, Lino. Lino, you took over at a very difficult time and we feel so fortunate to have you. You showed incredible leadership, creativity, and really rose to the occasion. We could not have had the impact we had this year without each and every one of you. To all of our honored guests, friends, and supporters, welcome. I'm very proud to have you join us to hear from our terrific guest speakers, to recognize staff and volunteers with some very special awards, and of course to say goodbye and thank you to board members who are being discharged and to welcome some fantastic new board members. I'm so excited to welcome the new board members, and I feel that our board is as energized as ever. You're an impressive group, and I'm humbled to be working with such an extraordinary board. Before we move on to the meeting, I'd like to remind you that as we all begin to experience the post-COVID new normal, many of our JFS clients have experienced devastating effects as a result of the pandemic, will continue to need JFS's assistance as they struggle with housing and employment issues. Fundraising has never been more important as JFS staff work to help so many in need. Please consider an additional donation this year to help so many who are struggling. We really would appreciate everyone thinking about doing something additional during this time. Now on to the business of our meeting. I first have the distinct pleasure to introduce Aaron Ain, JFS past president and CEO of UKG Corp. We'll say a few words about our guest speaker tonight. Aaron?
Thanks, Joe. Good to see you. Good to hear you. Good to see everyone. Looking forward to it. We can do this in person really soon. So, but always feel blessed when I have an opportunity to speak about an organization that I just dearly love, JFS, and what it does for so many in our community and what it does to give spirit to so many volunteers here. Look, you're going to be in for a treat tonight. It's really a joy for me to be friends with this remarkable man, Mohamad Ali, just a remarkable man, and you're going to get that in a second. He's been a teacher for me over the many years that we've been friends. I hope we've learned from each other, which I think we've had. We've traveled around the world together and seek advice from each other, both about our families and about what we do professionally and about all the various opportunities and more recently pressures that are happening in society, and how organizations like JFS and organizations like the company Mohamad works at and the company I work at and other organizations can take a stand and present a voice in a way that maybe wasn't always done. I will say that Mohamad was ahead of everybody else with a small group of people, understanding that businesses and organizations, whether they were profit or not for profit, needed to make their voice be heard in areas of racial justice and just justice in general, and how we all need to assume a position of not only being volunteers in what we can do and being good citizens and you know, fight to make for a more just society, but also understand that we need to stand up for things that don't just affect us directly, but stand up for things that impact us indirectly as well. So for us at JFS, we get focused deeply at times on anti-Semitism, and it's something that is of deep concern to us, and understand that clearly. but it's also important for us to stand up for all other aspects of injustice and to lend our voice and to be an ally and not be a bystander and be active in terms of what we do. And Mohamad has been someone who has taught so many people the meaning of this, so many people the meaning of this. And like I said, he's, first of all, it's a joy for him to be my friend. I never tire of being with him and listening to him and learning from him. As importantly, perhaps as importantly, a remarkable teacher and a remarkable person with deep experience and a love of Judaism as well. We've had lots of conversations about both of our faiths in different ways and the meaning it's presented to us. And I've learned a lot about Mohamad's faith. He's taught me things about my faith as wherever we were walking around in different places and having conversations and learning from each other. So I want to tell you, Mohamad, first of all, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your mentoring. Thank you for the joy that you and your family have brought me over the many years that we've been friends. And but as importantly, thank you for being a teacher and someone who's set a pace that I've worked hard to follow and learn from that perspective. And I just want you to know the impact you've had on so many people is really something that I'm not sure you really fully appreciate. So I want to formally introduce you to our annual meeting and tell you thank you for taking time to speak to us and share your perspective on the important work that you're doing around racial justice and how all of us can be volunteers and better citizens towards this really important and just work that JFS stands for in so many ways. It's why, you know, I'm committed to JFS and so many other people are. So with that, I'm gonna give you a big virtual hug, my friend, and tell you look great. That's a really good looking jacket you have.
It is, yes. I'll tell you where I got it after this.
And go from there. Okay, there you go, all yours.
Great. All right, well, thank you very much, Aaron. That was really sweet of you. And just so everybody knows, I'm actually the one who learns from Aaron. So, but thank you for that introduction. So good evening, everyone, and shalom and salam. Thank you, Lino and the JFS team for having me here tonight. And of course, my friend Aaron Ain for that wonderful and somewhat undeserved introduction, but thank you, Aaron. And Shira, it's great to see you again. I think I just saw you last week, or the week before. So good to see you too. So many wonderful faces here. So I was asked to speak about racial justice and how volunteers and citizens can make a difference in this important work. But before I can speak about racial injustice, I need to set the stage by discussing values and the larger context of injustice. Let me start by saying that what you do at JFS is the highest calling. You, and I quote your own website, stand up for those left behind. There is no calling more important from God or from human morality. Your work as nonprofit leaders and volunteers is deeply inspiring to me. Now, I've had my own volunteer experiences. Many years ago, I became the principal of the Sunday school at our mosque. Around that time, I needed to buy new work shirts. And as Aaron knows, department store shirts don't fit everyone well. Luckily, I found a specialty store in Natick. The owner was an old Jewish man, and on each visit, we would exchange stories about life. Each time, our conversation got longer. One day, he found out that I was the principal of our Islamic Sunday school and said, "You are a member of clergy. You qualify for my clergy discount." I assured him I was not clergy and I was barely qualified to be principal. But he insisted, presumably not because he truly believed I was clergy, but because we had developed a bond, even though we knew very little about each other. Despite differences of race, religion, and age, we shared purpose and values. I feel a similar connection to JFS, as we are both driven by closely overlapping values and purposes. Whether our American aspiration of equal opportunity for all, the Jewish commitment to tikkun olam, repairing the world, or the Muslim obligation of zakat, which requires us to give back from what we have been given. I was born Muslim and hold my faith dear because of its core values, embodied in the connection between the Arabic words Islam and Salam, a close cognate of shalom, peace. As a religious minority in America, I've cherished my connections with Jewish friends, colleagues, and neighbors, both personal and as part of a mosque actively engaged in interfaith work. I'm here tonight because I share your values and your purpose to serve the underserved, to right the wrongs of the world, and to correct the injustices. But where do these injustices originate, such that organizations like JFS become necessary? I already told you I am not clergy, so I'm not going to get into the theological construct of human suffering, but they are human causes of injustice, including racial injustice, that we can understand. They lie upstream from the day-to-day problems JFS fights to solve, which are rooted in inequities in our economic system, our tax system, our healthcare system, our housing system, our immigration system, and the global systems of traditional power. We know this, yet various forces prevent us from fixing these problems at their source. Without those policy fixes, we will not be able to address the inequities that make the average net worth of a Black person in Boston $8. Without changes in political power that come from truly fair elections, we cannot address those domestic issues that prevent wars, that create the refugees that JFS help. And without changes in how ruling elites make decisions, we won't be able to reverse climate change that threatens the planet and harms the most vulnerable. We cannot address the interconnected injustices of our present moment without reckoning with our past. Racial injustice today cannot be understood without acknowledging that 400 years ago, Western powers went to Africa, kidnapped men, women, and children, shackled them, brought them to America, and built an economy based on their labor. In 1863, slavery was abolished, but it was not until 1964 that Jim Crow laws were eliminated. But white Americans continue to want a method to maintain physical and economic segregation, and they found it in local laws. The book, The Color of Law, outlines how housing laws and redlining created economic dead zones in Black communities such as Brockton and Dorchester, and prevented Blacks from gaining equally from their efforts. There are interconnections between the afterlife of slavery and housing discrimination, over-policing, voter suppression, and disproportionate vulnerability to climate impacts and pandemic deaths. We seem to be in a moment of openness in recognizing these connections. Even technology CEO Michael Dell, a guy not known for leaning into controversial topics, did not mince words. Within hours of the killing of George Floyd, Mr. Dell referred to it as a murder, unlike almost all other CEOs, and added, quote, "From the devastating and disproportionate impacts of COVID-19 to the devastating impacts of police brutality, the long-standing racial injustice in America that began 400 years ago is impossible to ignore." While the impact of enslavement and its aftermath continues to resonate, more recent developments have further entrenched inequality in America. From 1945 to 1980, the income levels of the rich in America grew at about the same rate as the income levels of the poor. Beginning in the early 80s, the income levels of the rich increased at a rate far surpassing the income growth of the poor. The rich now have more power. The rich now have so much power that really little can change without the 1% agreeing. And the 1% are not really yet fully moved to correct the wrongs of the past, to fix the systematic domestic injustices of tax, housing, education, healthcare, and the criminal justice systems, or the international injustices emanating from unnecessary wars and climate change. things are bad. And as the CEO of Oxfam America, Abby Maxman warns, poised to get worse if we don't act. According to Oxfam, in 2019, the number of people who had been forced from their homes by war and persecution reached 68 million, the highest since World War II. The number of people going hungry worldwide is growing, reaching 690 million in 2019. 1/3 of the world's poor live in fragile and conflict-affected countries. By 2030, this share is likely to grow to 1/2. Sadly, JFS and similar civil society organizations will continue to be needed to mitigate these problems. So tonight, I ask you to support JFS, whether through volunteering or financially, because the need is real. But I'm also hopeful that you will all help to solve the problems upstream. I'm hopeful that you will push for fair tax, housing, healthcare, education policies in Boston. I'm hopeful you will encourage elected officials to use our tax dollars more effectively to reduce wars in the world, to reduce the warming of the planet, and to repair our world. It is not one or the other. We must give and we must act. What will those actions look like? I was asked to discuss tonight what volunteers and citizens can do to right racial injustice. I can give one example. The Massachusetts Technology Leadership Council created a program called Tech Compact for Social Justice. Nearly 100 Massachusetts companies signed up. Each company had a commitment to commit to 3 things to fight racial justice. Aaron's company and my company have both made meaningful commitments, but your actions will look different. It might be volunteering JFS, it might be something else. It might be giving money to JFS, it could be something else. But there is one thing that I am doing that I will encourage you to do as well, and that is read. I know I sound like a librarian, but educating ourselves is just so important. We need to understand, we all need to understand the context and framework that created and perpetuates the injustices I've discussed. And so I would encourage you to read, including a wide variety of things, potentially including Nicole Hannah-Jones' 1619 project and the broad discussion it catalyzed. As we say in engineering, we each have to do a root cause analysis. In his book, Stakeholder Capitalism, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Strauss, called on corporations to recognize the historic context of injustice and make dramatic changes. As individuals, we also have to undertake that work. And while we educate ourselves and work to repair the broken world, we must do what we can to mitigate present suffering. So with that, I thank you for having me here tonight, and salam and shalom.
Thank you, Mohamad. That was fantastic. Thank you. Great messages and really wonderful to hear from you. And thanks so much for taking time to be with us. Our next speaker, thank you. And thanks, Aaron, for bringing such a gem to us. So our next speaker is someone who's very important to JFS, Shira Goodman, chairman of the board of CJP. As many of you know, CJP is, and it's not an exaggeration to say, our most important partner and supporter. So we're so grateful for CJP's support and for the leadership that CJP has shown in mobilizing the Jewish community during this pandemic, and for putting their trust in us on several initiatives that we have partnered with CJP to fulfill. Shira has an incredible CJP and Jewish philanthropy biography. She is a longtime leader at CJP. She co-chaired CJP's president search committee, which brought us Mark Baker. She co-chaired CJP's 2018 strategic plan. She served on CJP's board of directors from 2009, 2018, and has also served on the Commission on Strategic Priorities, the Organizational Development Committee, the Budget Administration Committee, and several day school committees. She rejoined the CJP board in 2019 as vice chair to prepare for her tenure as board chair beginning in September 2020. She has, if those of you don't know Shira, she has an incredible can-do attitude. I love the way She signs her emails onward because she truly believes that. I was fortunate enough to participate in an event she did where she brought together a number of the board chairs from other Jewish organizations. So she's doing a lot to try to really mobilize and to make us a cohesive group of participants in trying to repair the community. So Shira, thank you so much for joining us, and turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Joe. And what a inspiring evening to join you. I mean, just listening to Aaron and Mohamad, Diane knew it would be enough. So I want to harken back to over a year ago, Pesach of 2020. If you remember how we were feeling, COVID had really just hit in March, and this was April, and everyone was, socially isolating, but yet Pesach was happening. And CJP worked with several kosher caterers and said, we're going to get hot meals for the Seder to folks who are alone and who might not otherwise have a hot meal. Fine, that's relatively easy. It's a couple phone calls and it's done. The hard part is actually getting the hot meals to the 2,500 people. So when CJP has a tough problem, who do they call? Lino, your CEO. So they called Lino and they said, Lino, we've got a problem. We've got 5,000 meals. They're going to 2,500 locations. How do we get them out there? Oh, and by the way, the first Seder is in 10 days. Lino said, no problem. I can do that. And when we look at what made that so successful, I think it captures three aspects of what is at the heart of JFS and what makes this such a remarkable organization. First is just excellent execution. Anyone can talk about doing good, but actually doing it, the heavy lifting, takes a lot of operational expertise. And in that case, clearly Lino's resume, naval officer, helps out a lot. If he can do that, he can get our Pesach meals to the socially isolated. But even Lino can't deliver 2,500 meals. And last I checked, JFS doesn't have its own delivery trucks like Amazon Prime or UPS. But here's what JFS does have, and it's the secret of JFS. Unbelievably committed volunteers, people who put their heart and soul into doing good and helping those who would be left behind. So I am told that literally you had more volunteers than you needed. There was a waiting list for volunteers, which is truly remarkable. And then the third thing that Lino did and reflects JFS, and you said this, it punches above its weight. I actually had written that down before it was said. And they didn't say, well, we'll deliver to Metrowest. They said, we'll deliver, period, to all of Boston. North Shore, South Shore, in the city, west of the city, we will get it done. So what was JFS's reward for doing this? Well, obviously doing good and fulfilling your mission. But lo and behold, Rosh Hashanah came along and we were still in social isolation, and Lino got another call from Kimberly Schumacher and Sarah Abramson. And then Pesach came along and we were still in social isolation for too many people, and another phone call. So in the Jewish tradition, when you do something 3 times, it's called a chazaka. It's a chazaka. So I will say JFS has a chazaka, has this holy task of partnering with CJP to literally feed the hungry. And to be honest with you, it's not only the food, it's that someone cares enough, comes to their house, drops something off, and says, we don't want you to be alone during this holiday season. So on behalf of CJP, that's just one little story. I could give you dozens more, but it really captures the essence of JFS, of your leadership, of the volunteers on the screen, and of your supporters. And on behalf of CJP and myself personally, we are just so fortunate to have you as partners in doing, as Mohamad said, Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira. Really wonderful. And I'll say that Lino and his team are ready for the next challenge. So thank you so much for letting us do the good work that we do. And thanks for being with us. And thank you again for your longstanding partnership with us. I look forward to doing more. Now I'm going to turn it over to Lino for a fun part of the meeting, which is the awards portion.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Shira. First of all, I have to say, it wasn't all me at all. I have a great staff that made it happen. And it stressed all of us to make it happen the first time in that short time period. But really the value that we got from being able to really engage volunteers, right? We always talk about volunteer engagement. Nothing is more powerful than being able to deliver foods to isolated older adults in the Jewish community. Just, there's nothing. And the thank yous, and I mean, I got more. I mean, it's the devil's in the details. Of course, you got a plan, but the execution's the fun part. Going out there and delivering those meals all over the CJP catchment area was really powerful. And we'll continue to do it as long as CJP wants us to do it. It's really an honor. So thank you. The next part is one of my favorite, is we are able to give awards out to volunteers, talk about volunteerism, and some staff. So I'm going to get right to it to stay on time. Okay, so our first awards is what we call the CEO Roll Up the Sleeves Award, literally rolling up the sleeves. This award traditionally recognizes volunteers that have gone beyond the call of duty. Thank you to the following super volunteers and recipients of my Roll Up the Sleeves Award. Please wave when you are acknowledged so we can see you. First, Michelle Guata. I can say Guata, that's Michelle's from Mexico, where my parents are from, has been volunteering with the Citizenship Program at JFS since 2018. She has consistently been a huge help to clients on their pathway to citizenship. She works with clients as they prepare for their U.S. naturalization exam, helping them practice their conversational English skills, as well as the civics portion of the exam. She cares deeply about her clients and has helped them successfully navigate this next step. And I know Michelle's there, I saw her earlier, so congratulations, Michelle. Next, Gus Friedman and Jackie Sand, which are also here with us tonight, became patient navigators, very important program we have to allow medical access to our older adults. They joined the Patient Navigator program in 2017. Since then, Gus has accompanied clients to over 60 appointments, and Jackie has accompanied them to over 50. Now, before I go on, this is not just transportation. This is calling ahead, figuring out what the needs of the clients, talking to family members. So when we go to a medical appointment, we are informed and act like family members. It's very successful program, and we continue to grow it. When the pandemic hit, as you can imagine, Jackie and Gus transitioned from taking clients to medical visits that didn't happen, to delivering PPE to some of the few navigators who continue to take clients to in-person appointments. A plan they developed themselves. They delivered more than 20 bags to towns as far as Belmont, Jamaica Plain, and Stone. These are big bags with PPE. For over a year, Jackie and Gus have been making weekly check-in calls to multiple clients. They always reach out to staff promptly with any concerns so case managers can follow up. Always willing to help, the duo also delivered Passover meals this spring. Thank you. Our next recipients are Carol and George Hengerly, which have been volunteering at JFS in numerous ways. Carol has been a longtime volunteer in the development office, where her wonderful phone manner and organizational skills have been a huge asset. Pre-pandemic, she also volunteered in our Healthy Harvest program, filling bags full of healthy foods for families at the Woodrow Wilson Elementary School, mostly immigrant families. George became a volunteer last spring as a Pathways to College Success mentor, sharing his professional expertise and wisdom with business students at Mass Bay Community College. During the pandemic, Carol and George joined forces and became an all-star food delivery team. They also delivered Rosh Hashanah meals and Thanksgiving meals, as well as regularly delivering meals to elderly individuals in need in the community. Most recently, they joined our food distribution team at the Wilson Elementary School, formed in response to the increased need for food assistance during COVID-19. This dynamic duo is always eager to help in any way they can. They even made it a point to plan their personal commitments around the Daniels Table, which is a partner that provides food, and the Wilson distribution schedule. Thank you so much. Our next recipient, Renata Marquez de Sousa Placido, is a Citizenship Mentor volunteer. In addition to helping clients prepare for their U.S. naturalization exam, she helps JFS with translation and other programs. She is devoted and patient with clients and is committed to helping them advance their English proficiency and navigate the complexities of the citizenship process. Thank you, Renata. Our next recipient, Noel Raphael, is a Warm Connector volunteer. The Warm Connectors, those are friendly visitors that go to visit our older adult community members living in the community. He started volunteering with JFS in December 2015. Noel has been working with the same JFS client for several years now, and they have become quite close. The client was very sick recently this year, and Noel was in constant contact with the client and family. Noel is also very attuned to what JFS does and has made many referrals to us or has reached out for specific information for an individual he knows in the community. He has gone above and beyond with the work he has done with JFS clients. So thank you, Noel. Backpack teams. This is great. I'll explain what backpack teams are. JFS Metrowest has an annual backpack event which provides new school supplies for Framingham school children in need. This past summer, as a result of COVID, we needed to completely restructure the backpack event. We reached out to teens who had demonstrated leadership abilities and asked them to run COVID-safe events at their home or other locations. These teens rose to the challenge, got straight to work on the project. They participated in weekly planning calls, asked families and friends to collect new school supplies, recruit a group of 10 friends willing to fill the backpacks with school supplies, organize an outdoor event, which complied with COVID-19 safety guidelines and supervised their friends as they filled the backpacks. Thanks to those efforts of these young leaders, hundreds of backpacks were supplied to students in the Framingham Public Schools. Thank you to the following teams for absolutely standing up and making a difference. Wave when you call your name. Jared Berger, Jacob Darish, Alexis Friedman, Jessica Friedman, Eli Gaffin, Ben Gilbert, Josie Happel, Mason Klein, Seth Korn, Ben Myers, Bridget O'Donnell, Erica O'Donnell, Megan O'Donnell, Haley Rashes, Juliana Singer, and Rachel Wolf Wagner. Again, thank you to all the recipients of my Roll Up the Sleeve Awards. Well done. All right, a little sip of water here for the next round. All right. The next set of awards is what we call the Ellen Block Youth Leadership Award. And Ellen is here. I saw Donald. Ellen and Donald, please wave. Good to see you. Ellen Block, known to many of you, was a volunteer and employee of JFS. She led our efforts in welcoming and resettling families, many Jewish families from the former Soviet Union. Ellen was tireless in her efforts on behalf of these families who needed help starting a new life in the US. Ellen has always believed that today's youth embody the hope of the future. To that end, Ellen created JFS's first new American and Russian youth enrichment programs in the early 90s. Ellen has an unfailing belief and pride in our youth's capacity to embrace change and challenges through their own unselfish giving of their time, talent, and enthusiasm. They are leaders of tomorrow. The Ellen Block Youth Leadership Award was established in her honor to recognize the youth who have demonstrated these qualities. Now we'll turn it over to Lucia Panicella, our JFS Senior Director of Programs and Partnerships, to name the Ellen Block Youth Leadership Award recipients this year.
Hi, I'm Lucia Panicella, and I have the honor tonight of presenting the Ellen Block Youth Leadership Award. This award is given every year to youth in our community who demonstrate their leadership by volunteerism and their dedication to serving others. This year, we are presenting this award to 3 honorees: Ashley Morris, Akshara Shankar, and Leah Steinman. I'm going to say a few words about each one of them. Ashley stepped up to help JFS distribute food and personal care items to community members from Wilson School this past summer. So many families were struggling to make ends meet after suffering job losses because of the pandemic, and Ashley joined our team weekly to make sure those families had enough food to eat. The JFS staff team says that Ashley was a hard worker. She needed to be reminded to take breaks and was very reliable. We are grateful for her support. Akshara's dedication to serving the community is impressive for someone of any age, but even more impressive for a high school student. Akshara created Many Hands Food Pantry to help more effectively connect food pantries and those who had food to donate. She could have stopped there, but instead she expanded upon this work with JFS to create Farm Help and connect farms to food pantries in a similar way. Akshara not only built the relationships and connections needed to make this happen, but she herself transports the food from the farms to the pantries throughout the season. Akshara is a leader and a role model to the entire community. Leah has been an absolute joy to have at the clothing closet. While balancing a busy schedule with school, work, and other after-school activities she's involved in, she makes time to come to the clothing closet to help with inventory and fill ready-to-wear orders to serve our clients and their families. She always brings such a positive energy and is organized, hardworking, and her compassionate nature shows. We are so grateful to have Leah on the team. Please join me in saying congratulations to Ashley, Akshara, and Leah, and thanking them for their dedication to our community.
Thank you, Lucia. And let me get back on my script. Okay. So congratulations to Ashley, Akshara, and Leah. Again, wave Ashley, Akshara, and Leah to everybody. And hearty congratulations. Our next award is a really exciting one as well. It is what we call the Liebold Staff Excellence Award. This goes to a staff member. Hollywood has the Oscars. We have the Liebold, and we have a special guest tonight to present the award.
Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Liebold, and I am the namesake of the award that I'm going to be presenting tonight. And I have to let you know that I'm doing this from my backyard for two reasons. One is that it's a beautiful, beautiful day when I'm recording this. And so you might hear some birds chirping in the background or my dog or cat chasing chipmunks or squirrels. But the other reason is to entice any of you who might be headed this way to be in touch with me. I would love to have a visit and love to have people come see me in Ann Arbor, Michigan. That's where I am. So without further ado, let me go ahead and read the script that Lino sent me. I am not going to mention the name of the recipient until the end, so I challenge you to listen carefully, and those of you who don't know who it is, see if you can figure it out. There are a few notable things to say about this year's awardee. So I'll go through those. First is commitment and leadership is demonstrated by the willingness to help with whatever program or colleague needs assistance. This person has been working out in the field throughout the pandemic and stepping up on multiple occasions wherever the need presented. They adapted quickly to different ways of doing the work and found creative solutions to get the job done, keeping the JFS client needs at the forefront. Most notably, this staff member's hard work and dedication paid off this year as they supported several citizenship clients in meeting critical deadlines, first because of an impending increase in fees and elimination of the fee waiver, and later because of changes to the citizenship test. Both of these times, they worked extra hours and made sure that every client who wanted to submit their applications before those deadlines was able to get them in on time. This was a lot of work in a time crunch and in a pandemic, but they didn't even question it or complain because they knew how important this was to the clients, and that was all that was needed. This staff member is well liked and respected by their colleagues. This person is nimble and a very hard worker and is a leader to others in the way they are always willing to jump in and support the agency needs as they arise. Their positive can-do attitude is an example to all of us. So, does this describe anyone any of you know? It is my pleasure to award the Liebold Award this year to Natalie Pacino, JFS Immigrant Services Program Specialist. And hello to all of you who I haven't seen in many years, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful year following this horrific year of the pandemic. Nice to talk to all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Susan, and congratulations, Natalie. That's a well-deserved award. Thank you. Now the part of the annual meeting is the business part of the meeting. I will turn over to our president, Joe Boldman.
Thanks, Lino. Really awesome awards and recipients, and terrific to see all the good work done. Now we get to the sort of administrative part of the meeting. We're going to be approving minutes and appointing our new board members. So we'll start with the approval of the minutes from the 2020 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you, Valentin.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. The minutes are approved. I will next turn it over to John Herrera for the treasurer's report.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for taking the time this evening. I think this is my fourth treasurer's report. And I suppose going into the year in a pandemic, it could have been a very different treasurer's report. But I'm happy to say, as I'm sure you've all seen, that with all of the great efforts of Lino, the leadership team, the staff, and really the donors, we actually presented and had a very good year financially, right? Down overall from last year, but if you look at the receipts, we brought in over $3.4 million, and the disbursements were a little over 3.2. So we actually increased our cash on hand by $152,000 during a pandemic, which again, is a pretty amazing feat during such a time. It's interesting. I read an article that was indicating for nonprofits, even though it was a great year of donations, it was a very good giving year. So many nonprofits actually couldn't take advantage of it. Their support systems failed. They couldn't get the volunteers. All the things that we just talked about didn't work for so many nonprofits. So it's pretty amazing, again, that Lino and team were able to kind of get ahead of it and deal with not only the increase in demand, but everything else that was going on. I can remember just as it was beginning, I think early March, I got a phone call from Lino, because even though we didn't know what was going to happen, he was already starting to think about scenarios, best case, worst case. How do we plan for this? What should we do? And how do we get ahead of it? So as I said, as treasurer, it makes me very happy to report that we had a good financial year. And with that, I will thank everybody and hand it over to Lino.
Thank you, John. It really takes teamwork. Kudos to our whole financial services team with Liz and our budget and finance. We planned early, we planned for the worst, and we came out on top. And we're still doing it. That's the way it is when you're in rough waters. You never, as we used to say in the Navy, you never put your back to the waves. So we're still planning ahead for the future, which I'll talk about in my ending remarks. Next, the second most exciting part of the evening is installing our new board members. We certainly have to discharge some, which is a sad part, but the installation of new board members is just exciting. And we got some really, as Joe mentioned, just fantastic talent coming on board to our board. Our installation officer is Lester Schindel, who's a former past president of JFS. He's the CEO of a hospital. And when I asked him, we talked and he said, I'm a CEO of a hospital even though the pandemic is waning, you never know what my day is going to be like. And I think I saw him momentarily and he said, we should pre-record this. And I said, I think you're spot on. So we have Lester pre-recorded to do the discharge and installations tonight. But I think we may see his face in between whatever's going on in his life as a CEO of a hospital. So without further ado, discharge and installation time.
Good evening. I am Lester Schindel, JFS past president, current CEO and president of Waterbury Hospital at Waterbury Health. It is a pleasure and honor for me to discharge and install the JFS Board 2021-2022. Many thanks to all the board members being discharged and those being installed. Great community-based not-for-profits like JFS are highly dependent on effective board members because of their skill, experience, and knowledge. Governance is really important, and it's been the product of JFS's success over the years. Thank you to all of you for your dedication to JFS. I'm now going to start tonight's process. The following officer is being discharged, but will be reinstalled shortly. That is the Vice President, Allison Cates. The following board members with terms expiring in 2021 are being discharged. I am grateful for your service to our community and know that you will always remain part of the JFS family. Take it from one who knows. Peggy Barry, Jonathan Gerber, and Larry Tobin are being discharged. Also being discharged in 2021, but being reinstalled shortly, are Fernando Castro, Javier Savalas, and Deborah Gottbetter. Again, thank you for your dedicated service to JFS. For those leaving the board, you will all receive a gift in the mail as a token of our appreciation and as a remembrance of your board service. Now on to the reinstallation and installation of new board members. Before I do that, I want to remind all of you of your responsibilities as officers and directors in accordance with the Attorney General of Mass requirements. Straight out of the Mass Attorney General's guide, here is your charge. If you are a trustee or a member of the board of directors of a charitable organization, you and your fellow board members are responsible for governing the organization. The law imposes upon you two primary duties: the duty of care, the duty of loyalty. The duty of care means that you must act with such care as an ordinary prudent person would employ in your position. The duty of loyalty means you must act in good faith, in a manner that you reasonably believe is in the best interest of the organization. I hope everybody has that, because every day, every board meeting, every year, all our board members have acted in meeting those two requirements. So let's begin. First, I'd like to install the following officer for a 2-year term: Vice President Allison Cates. Second, next, let's reinstall board members with new terms. Reinstalled for a term expiring in 2024 is Fernando Castro, Javier Savalas, and Deborah Gottbetter. And now, for one of the most exciting parts of the evening, is installing our newest board members to the class of 2024. First is Sophie Hearn. She is the Director of Engagement and Communications of Boston Women's Workforce Council. Sophie Hearn is a convener, advocate, and leader in the Boston not-for-profit community. With expertise in gender philanthropy, fundraising, communications, Sophie worked at the Miriam Fund of Combined Jewish Philanthropy, managing grant-making activities for the organization, and led the annual campaign at JCC's Greater Boston. She received her undergraduate degree from Dickerson College, where she majored in Latin American and Caribbean Studies with a minor in Women and Gender Studies and Spanish. Sophie is also working towards her MBA at Boston University's Quaystrom School of Business. Sophie believes in the power of showing up for her local and global communities. She currently serves on JDC Entwine's National Council as a big sister. She has volunteered and supported community servings, Fenway Community Center, One Family, and the New Israel Fund over the past many years. Let's welcome Sophie. This next nominee, is Denise Rosenblum, founder and CEO of Dynamic Development. Denise Rosenblum is a training and development consultant. Her company trains employees at a wide-ranging client companies to improve the quality of management, leadership, relationship building, and communication skills. She teaches courses ranging from 2-hour workshops to several days for individuals and small groups up to 100 people. effectively identifies and cultivates high potential leaders through one-on-one coaching, and builds employees' self-confidence, presence, and communication skills. Denise also serves as the VP of Membership and Executive Board Member of the Boston Children's Hospital League, as a board member of the Women's Philanthropy Division of CJP, has been a former member of Tufts University Hillel, her alma mater. Welcome, Denise. The next candidate, or nominee, as I keep calling candidates, is Phillip Strauss, owner and consultant of Strauss Consulting. Phillip Strauss is a career life sciences, technology, and efficiency consultant with specialties in business and IT-focused services, including project management, process excellence, and PMO setup and governance. Phil also consults on process improvement and is a Six Sigma Black Belt certified. Phil and his family have been members of Temple Beth Am and Framingham and the Jewish community for over 20 years. His wife Rachel's family were founding members of Temple Beth Am. Rachel and their two boys, Jeremy and Zach, became bar and bat mitzvah at Temple Beth Am. Phil and Rachel have been financial supporters of the JFS community for several years. Welcome, Philip. Our fourth candidate is Cesar Stewart Morales, City Council, City of Framingham. Cesar Stewart Morales represents Framingham District 2 and previously was Commissioner of Framingham's Human Relations Commissioner. He is a finance professional with over 15 years of experience in helping companies run their corporate accounting departments efficiently while providing accurate and timely consolidated financial reporting, financial analysis, budgets, and forecasts. Cesar has a track record of identifying areas of opportunity with the accounting processes where value can be created and has helped finance departments eliminate or reduce time-consuming tasks, allowing for resources to be reallocated towards timely financial analysis to help company leaders make informed decisions. Welcome, Cesar. And our fifth and last candidate, or nominee for tonight, is Nadia Valentin, nurse practitioner, nursing director, New Vision's Healthcare Services. Nadia Valentin is principal and owner of New Vision Healthcare Services, based in Braintree. New Vision provides non-medical home care. Its mission is to improve their clients' health and quality of life by providing excellent care that is evidence-based, patient-centric, and culturally competent, while helping to preserve their independence in the community. Nadia works closely with JFS, often working in our most difficult geriatric care management cases. Nadia works closely with the immigrant community, recruiting home health aides from within our church and the wider immigrant community. Welcome, Nadia. To our new board members, welcome to one of the most exciting and impactful boards you will ever be part of. For our returning board members, thank you for your past, current, and future service to JFS. Thank you all. I enjoy your evening, and let's approve these nominations. Thank you.
So should I make a motion for everyone to approve the new slate?
They've been approved in the
Okay,
last
great.
board meeting, so we're all set there.
Great. And just looking at our agenda, I think just one last speaker, right, Lino?
That's one last person.
All right, so let me just say a few remarks before Lino says his look ahead. Just again, want to thank you, Lino, for your leadership, for your just what you've done to help us get through this time and the way we rallied around you. And it's a credit to really you and your passion and your vision, the partnerships you built, in a time where we've been in triage mode and staying above water, you've also found a way to be strategic and look ahead and look forward. So really want to thank you, and I'm excited to hear your remarks about what's to come for us.
Great. Thank you. First, I have some claps for the new board members that just got inducted into the JFS board. So I'll say a few remarks about that. Thank you, Joe. I'm wrapping up the meeting, and I'll be pretty close to 8 o'clock, a few minutes afterwards. First, I want to really thank Erin Ain for just an outstanding introduction of our guest speaker. I want to And a big thank you to Mohamad Ali. I mean, his words were very inspiring to me. It really pumps me up as we grow our work in social justice and recruit more volunteers to be active bystanders, because it really does take citizens to make change in racial justice. It just can't be one organization or two organizations. It really takes, and as you know, I never say army, it takes an armada to really move the needle in this work. So, and also want to thank Shira Goodman. JFS looks forward to our continued partnership in the future with CJP. So great stuff. I really want to thank our staff, our volunteers, and our board of directors. What can I say? I mean, you guys really rock. Together in the last year, we were able to increase the number of families we serve by 33%. That's huge for an organization our size to really respond to the pandemic. We fed and clothed and provided a security blanket for thousands of people. And we like to say in JFS that we're nimble and can respond quickly to community needs. It's not just a tagline. We actually did it. We did it during the pandemic. We were nimble and responded quickly to community needs. So now as we begin to come out of this terrible pandemic to a new normal, we're looking to the future here at JFS. We are currently in the midst of a strategic planning process with a focus on developing the necessary guide rails. And I emphasize guide rails because that's a strategic plan never tells you exactly what to do, but it gives you a direction to move in. So it will help us navigate our future, specifically how and where we can make the most impact in the community. That's what we're always thinking here in JFS. If other people are doing the work and making an impact, we don't need to be in that space. Where is there a space that no one is doing anything and they're suffering? A few things are certain. As we think about our strategic direction, we will continue to seek and help the most vulnerable in their community, including isolated older adults, our immigrants, refugees, and asylees, and Jewish families experiencing financial hardship and distress. And JFS will also be a community convener in areas of great community need, specifically racial justice, as we talked about, and that was what Mohamad talked about tonight, and engaging the community in the legacy of volunteerism, which was, as you know, from our Seize a Dream with a Black family, that was like a huge, huge wave that we want to continue forward, the legacy of volunteerism, because we know we can't do it alone with staff. We need citizens, we need volunteers. And as I mentioned, we can't do it alone. We need really solid strategic collaborative partnerships with community stakeholders, which we have been building and will continue to foster in the years to come. I'm very excited to welcome our new board members. Each was specifically recruited for what we know JFS will need in the future. They may not know this, but we had a really focused process on really figuring out what do we need for the future and what type of board members do we need to fill that need. From the whole cadre of the new 5 board members, we have competency, as you heard from Lester, in building staff and future workforce. That's really important as we figure out how do we fill our mission requirements once we figure out our strategic plan. Somebody who loves philanthropy and has some great ideas on how to start engaging early the future donors of our work. Imagine a pipeline where we start really early with volunteerism and other ways to really engage people later in their life when they're in a situation where they can be philanthropic. We have someone whose work is leveraging technology for impact. We know that leveraging technology is absolutely important for us in the future. So having that board member that's what they do, that's their profession, is just really exciting for me and our whole team. An expert on adult healthcare. That's really important for us as we figure out where we belong in this rapidly growing area of community need. The baby boomers are growing, they're aging in the community. Where are we going to be able to make the most impact for our size is a very important question. And also we have someone with accounting and government relations experience. It's really important that we know, we get our fair share of government dollars, and how do you navigate that, and having somebody who has experience in that area is really important. And also we have 2 of our new board members are diverse and people of color. Very important as JFS diversifies its board and staff further to reflect the background of the communities we serve. So to all 5 of you, welcome, and I look so much forward to working with you. I have to add that JFS continues to be a fantastic investment in the future of the community. We easily hold on the top of the 4-star rating on Charity Navigator, and you can bet that your philanthropic dollar will go far with us. In closing, we are beyond, and when I say we, the staff, are really beyond hopeful and accelerating equity in the future. We are already, if you are not already part of our journey as a supporter, donor, or volunteer of JFS, come join us. We love to have you as part of what we continue, and Mohamad was really instrumental on underlining, as we continue to stand up for those left behind, and that's really how we think. We really think about who is being left behind in our community and how can we help. And as our founder of blessed memory, Max Michelson, would often say, always act and never be a passive bystander. And that's exactly what we intend to do. So see you soon at the JFS nearest event nearest you, and have a safe summer. And that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us tonight at our annual meeting.
Thank you, everybody.